What's up, you guys? This is Rob from The Guy Plays, and today on The Daily Grind, we're going to be taking a look at both the Akjagara Prime as well as the Redeemer Prime. Now, I know that I did go ahead and touch on them on my first look with Mesa Prime Access. However, after playing with them a bit more, tossing some forma onto the Akjagara, I wanted to go ahead and show you how they all perform. So let's go ahead and jump on it. Now, as always with these types of Prime videos, I'm going to go ahead and leave a couple links down in the description box below as to what relics they come from and where you can find their drop locations, mainly because of the fact that I'm really bad at keeping track of what relics get vaulted, if there are new relics introduced, so I'm not gonna bother with all of that. However, do be aware that the Akjagara Prime does require Mastery Rank 12 to craft, while the Redeemer Prime requires Mastery Rank 10. Now, if you want to skip over all of that, you can go ahead and pick it up straight out of the gate with Mesa Prime Access while it lasts. Okay, so let's kick things off with the Akjagara Prime. Now, before we even jump into the stats, I do have to say one thing. I am freaking bitter at DE because they missed out on such a massive opportunity. If you look at the model, it is beautiful, it is shiny, it is bladed, it is ready to shred enemies like nobody's business. Would this have not been the perfect weapon to introduce in a different and unique way? Like maybe if we opened up our melee window, we would be able to select the Akjagara Prime as dual swords or dual daggers. Oh my god, it would have been mind-blowing, but DE, you missed the mark. However, what they didn't miss the mark on is this freaking weapon statage. Take a look at this right here. The accuracy has actually more than doubled at 33.3. The critical chance has jumped up to 18%, and the critical multiplier is 2.2 times. Now, 18% doesn't sound like a whole lot, but if you factor in the fact that there are primed pistol mods that are made for crits, that's when it gets really juicy. Now, its fire rate has gone down a little bit, but if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I kind of like that, mainly because of the fact that the Akjagara is a burst fire weapon, so it's really easy to kind of overfire. So having it slowed down a bit lets you kind of focus on, not overshooting. I always say sometimes we end up shooting at a dead body too much. This is a good way to kind of pare it down a little bit. The magazine has gone up by 4. The punch through, there is innate punch through on this, which I do quite like, and also helps out in ammo economy. The reload speed has dropped down dramatically from 2.3 down to 1.4, and the status chance has jumped up to 32%, which means that we're going to be inflicting a lot of slash, because if we look at the IPS has actually shifted. So you can see that the impact and puncture has dropped down and fed into the slash. So we're going to be slicing and dicing, not like through melee ways as I was hoping. But let's go ahead and take a look at how this actually performs. All right, now I'm gonna make note. There's been a weird reload bug that's been happening in the simulacrum, so I had to go and shoot a couple shots before we jumped in to make sure that it wasn't live. So, yeah, this thing is an absolute monster. It is, literally, I could have just let the slash procs eat away at him and finish him off, but, oh, it's so good. Again, one of the things that I kind of made note with this, and I've been playing around with this weapon a lot, and kind of one of my issues is if you're being really sloppy with it, it is very easy to legitimately, run out of ammo very quickly. It does have a larger ammo capacity than most pistols, which I find to be pretty nice. It's sitting at 320. That's larger than most, right? Or am I crazy? Or is it just so, because back in the day when we had pistols, it was kind of like a set max ammo, but I feel like these days, it's kind of changing it up a bit, and the max ammos aren't so dependent. See, look at that. Under a clip. It's so good, and all those slash procs just make it so friggin' juicy. I'm absolutely loving this thing. It's so good. One more time, just for the loves, right? Or DE, if we had the Akjagara equipped and we quick melee'd instead of pulling out our melee weapon, if we could just melee with the Akjagara, give me something unique and different. But you know, at the same time, don't fuck with the Akjagara because it's already beautiful and wonderful. So let's go ahead and take a look at my build real quick on this baby, if the Warframe servers would stabilize just a little bit. So as you can see, we've got our crit build on it, and then we've also got some viral in there as well. You can see I didn't go with 100% status because I don't necessarily feel like you need it. Plus the thing is, I don't want to take away from the slash and the viral, right? I want those two to like come together and make beautiful, wonderful damage babies. So we've got that. We've got a little Augur Pact in there and Lethal Torrent. Notes, I do have a Riven for it that I will be rolling soon. It's like right now it's good, but now that I got this, it's going to be extra juicy because the Riven disposition is at full marks. However, I will say one thing for you guys. Don't count on that Riven disposition being like that forever. When they release a weapon like this, and it's this powerful, there's gonna be some rolling back on it. Hopefully they don't roll back on it all the way, but legitimately, you know, I just want you guys to be aware of that. Moving along, we have the Redeemer Prime. Now, the funniest thing to me about this Prime Access duo is the fact that I want to melee with the Akjagara Prime so much, yet I don't want to melee with the Redeemer Prime whatsoever. Legitimately, I just want to shoot charge shots all day and like blow off a bunch of dicks. Regardless of how you want to play it though, you can see its stats have got green lit across the entire board, so we've got some nice buffs to work with. The attack speed has jumped up from 0.833 to 0.917, and then its critical chance and critical multiplier have jumped up as well to 16%, as well as a 2.2 times multiplier. Now, I do need to mention this because of all the blowing off dicks that I want to do, is the fact that charge shots actually don't benefit from this critical chance and critical multiplier organically. Now, I'm pretty sure you're able to kind of like force some of these with Kavats and maybe some arcanes that you can play around with, but on its own, this is not a thing that's happening for the charge shots at least. You can also see that the status chance has gone up from 10% to 28%, which is nice because, as you know, you can go ahead and force 100% status on this baby, which is great because it is slash based. So it's got a lot of slash in there, a little teensy bit of impact, and a little bit of puncture, but mainly there's a lot of slash, which doesn't actually matter when it comes to charge shots because charge shots are pure blast. So that kind of like counters that, but if you want to melee with it, at least now that's an option. So let's go ahead and see how this thing performs. Maybe I should do some melee with this. No, we're not going to do that. We just want to blow off dicks. All right, so let's go ahead and show off how this thing works on a single target first. So let's get our billies out there and do a little whacking with the Redeemer. By the way, have you seen the loading of this thing? I haven't used the Redeemer Prime in so long, but when you load it up, it's just a shit ton of fun. And it's also just a shit ton of fun absolutely obliterating these motherfuckers right here. By the way, I do have to mention something because I was talking about the what do you call this? The charge shots not criticaling. I do have to remind you guys that stealth damage, because stealth damage, I tried this out with Loki a little bit earlier, stealth damage shows up as yellow. And because of the fact that Redeemer now has kind of like a noise attached to it, unless you're using Hushed Invisibility or Banshee to kind of like silence all of your weapons, you'll get it on the first one. And that counts as stealth damage, and that's why it's yellow, so it's not actually a crit. But, you know, just clarifying that in case you guys are a little bit newer, but whew, even without the crit bonus, this thing is absolutely murdering. Now on the previous video, the first look video that I showed you, actually ran this with viral and radiation as well. That would work well with melee, I guess. However, really where this thing shines is just all the blasting. Fine, we'll do one round with some melee. Come on, let's do one round with some melee, and then we'll go ahead and show off the build. It's really not where it shines though, but you know, I'm just saying. Oh, I forgot that this is bullet dance, and it's really just shooting at enemies. Well, you know, I guess. Listen, just do the charge shots. You'll be fine. Now, before we actually go ahead and do the build, I do want to show off something real quick for you guys, because while technically the charge shots of these are, you know, are blast, and it's not following the slash fun that we're having with the Akjagara, one of the consistent themes throughout this is the fact that this thing does have punch through on its blast shot. So as you can see right here, it is hitting multiple targets. It's going right through, and it's hitting that motherfucker right there. That's, see, look at all this. Let me just line them up real quick. You get the damage through, and you can just basically annihilate these fuckers as long as you've got them in a straight line, right? So that's that. Let's go ahead and jump into the build real quick. Now, the thing that I think is really interesting about the release of the Redeemer Prime is the fact that we also now have the big crazy spider bosses to take care of. And as you guys know, the big spider bosses cycle through damage types. Now, as you can see, I'm currently running with Blast and Corrosive. However, because of the fact that the charge shots from the Redeemer are pure Blast, you could do Viral and Radiation on this, then you would have Viral, Radiation, and Blast all in one weapon. So just in case you wanted to cover that span, this would work really, really well for it. Now, as for the build itself, it's basically full status. We're going in with some Blast, we're going in with some Corrosive, and we've also got Drifting Contact, which will push that 28% all the way up to 100. So there's that, and then of course you've got Prime Pressure Point, Prime Fury, and Condition Overload, just to kind of round everything out, which makes for a really, really beautiful, wonderful weapon. But again, if you wanted to go ahead and swap it out a little bit and do the Viral and Radiation on this, this might be a really, really great solution for you to knock out 3 different damage types for the spider fight. I know you can cycle through it, I know you can, but if you don't want to, here's an option for you. Now, all in all, the Akjagara Prime and the Redeemer Prime are freaking fantastic. Like, literally, weaponry-wise, this Prime Access did not disappoint whatsoever. So if you guys haven't already started your farms, get on your farms. But if you are still within the week of NoDeWiHoE, I'm going to go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below to go ahead and join in on the Mesa Prime Access giveaway that I'm currently doing. So make sure you go ahead and check down there. I do believe that it expires on the 24th. Like, it'll be done in the evening of the 24th so that I can go ahead and announce it on the 25th. Regardless, that about does it for me for now. I hope you guys are having as much fun with this Prime Access as I'm having. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch you blast dicks. Just blast the dicks off all day long. Just melee and blast, and that's all you need. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!